Hi, I'm Kathy McGee, President and co-founder of Operation Smile.
And I'm Bill McGee. I'm also a co-founder of Operation Smile and the CEO of Operation Smile.
Today we want to talk a little bit what's behind the smiles.
And it's always a pleasure to kind of reminisce about where did this all start 38 years ago and where are we today with it and what's happened during this COVID-19 and is it a blessing or is it a curse? Because I found a long time ago that sometimes your greatest weaknesses can become your greatest strengths. And so I'd rather think optimistically in one way or another about this crazy time and think this is the time for us to really sit back and have that peaceful moment to say, what is it that we can do better? What is it that we can do to enhance who we are in the coming weeks, months, and years? This gives us the opportunity to do that.
Well, I know we have been able to give products, equipment, supplies to all our foundations all over the world. It's been amazing the needs that are out there to address this COVID-19.
That's right. And also, I think all along, we have been very, very resolute about making sure that our volunteers, nearly 6,000 strong, are the best. And so we realize in order to keep that going and bring young people on board, because they are our future, is that how do we do that? How do we make sure that our educational systems are where they should be? How do we make sure that we do the research to find out what's causing all these kids with clefts? What is the research that we do to make sure that the care we give is the best? What do we do to make sure the multidisciplinary care is there? Because surgery is not just the surgeon by any stretch of the imagination. It's great anesthesiologists, great pediatricians, great nurses. And then with cleft lip and cleft palate, it's speech pathologists, it's dentists, it's a psychologist. There's so many people that are involved with this to make it work. And so how do we strengthen that as we're given this moment of time to reflect?
Well, I know you did a conference just the other day in Colombia to 90 medical people, faculty, residents, all these medical people in Colombia, Bogota. So I think that's possible. We can go virtual with training and giving them what they need during this time of COVID.
You know, it's interesting because we theoretically have been talking about all along the potential of virtual education, virtual record keeping, et cetera, et cetera. But this has made us really realize how powerful it is. When we get on virtually, whether it's with our coworkers or workers around the world, you're one-to-one with them. You're really there. And all of a sudden it makes you realize, my God, you could really, really do some incredible things with virtual. You could establish major educational programs with it. You could make sure that everything is excellent. You could make sure that the before and afters are perfect so that we can really assess the quality of the care we give. And I think that this moment has taught us that more than just theory, more than just yippee-yapping to each other about it, but all of a sudden seeing how it really can work. And I think it's a moment in time that's taught us something.
And I just think of our donors during this time because they're probably worried about these patients. But I know in these countries, they're calling these patients, making sure they're safe, making sure they're healthy, making sure that they can go online and get speech therapy while they're waiting. So we know we've been able to do these things. And really, we had never thought about it, but people need food during this time. So we've been able to provide funding so that food can be provided to different countries in the world. And who would ever know just a week ago with all this going on, so many weeks and weeks, but Vietnam stepped to the plate and started a mission locally in Hanoi. So things are moving forward, kids are being taken care of, and the rules are being followed for COVID.
You know, what's fascinating too is they work side by side with the government. The government said, okay, you can go ahead and take care of more kids because we want our kids to be taken care of. But let's make sure we live up to all the guidelines. And Operation Smile has all those guidelines. And they said, okay, here we are, man. We'll just live by everything that we've talked about and done for years. Government said, great. Boom, next thing you know, 60 kids are taken care of. The other thing that's amazing is right from the very beginning, we got students involved with us with Operation Smile. Now there's really literally tens of thousands of students who have been involved with us. Students going on trips, being educators and everything. All of a sudden you have this resource that's thousands and thousands of individuals who want to help. So, boom, we set out to call. Would the students help us? And could they, get donated supplies, food, equipment to the necessary hospitals, to the nurses, to the doctors that are giving their time to this crisis and doing a remarkable job. You ought to, just amplify on that a little bit.
Well, along with feeding our healthcare workers, they were able to keep our restaurants open and keep jobs open at the same time. They were everywhere, all over this United States, helping out. And even they've been collecting groceries for people in such rural areas that have run out of food. So they're like little workers for us all over the world, and love being a part of Operation Smile, knowing that they're helping with a child's life.
You'd almost have to see high school kids. Sometimes people think, well, maybe they're not as caring, or maybe they're thinking about themselves. That's not what we see at all with the kids that are involved with Operation Smile. I mean, they're there, heart and soul, to go out and to do that. I think the other thing that I've seen is that we know that education is important. We know that research is important. We know that we have to continue to challenge ourselves to do this better and better and better. But where do you find the time? With literally tens of thousands of kids who are waiting for you to come, that's so compelling that you're drawn towards the giving of the care as opposed to the planning of the care or the planning of the education to the extent that maybe you wish you could. This little break, if you would, has allowed us to sit back and say, how can we do this better? What is the research we need to find out how many kids are there? Where are these kids? How do we find them? How do we get them out of their villages? How do we get the governments more engaged and involved? All those things are really starting to ramp up during this time when the mission structure of getting out there and actually doing the surgery has slowed down. We've really ramped up on the planning for the future, which is a great opportunity for us in retrospect.
So I really do want our donors to know that we have not stopped 1 minute while this has been going on, but to figure out how we can do more, how we can take care of every child. We know there are millions out there, and I know through the love that has been throughout our volunteers, through our donors, through the people and students that are involved with us, and the leaders that come forward to help us to focus and take care of more children. I know that love and leadership is out there.
Yeah, I have to give Kathy credit for it. I do give you credit for it, because without your constant push, almost 24/7, I don't know if I could have kept up with it. But it is amazing how much can be done and how much is still yet to be done. And unless we plan for that, and unless we put energy into it, it's just not going to happen. And so many people have come to us and said, how can I help now? What can I do now to help you? And we say, look, the clock hasn't stopped. We're still racing, and we can't do it without your support. We can't do it without your professional support, your financial support, your personal encouragement and support. Those are the things that drive the volunteers of Operation Smile day in and day out and allow us to be who we are worldwide. And we don't ever want that to die. It's not just a cleft lip, cleft palate organization. The child is the center of our focus. But children have the ability to bring us all together as people. And regardless of race, religion, culture, ethnicity, you never ever see a disparity in the way a child is treated. And I think that we can be an example to our world right now. And to be able to say that if we work together to help these children, that we'll give a positive influence to our world and maybe bring our world together in a more positive way. And that's abstract, but I know it's real.
So I guess there's a lot more behind these smiles than anyone can think about. So just involvement for us can bring change to the rest of this world.
That's right. And involvement isn't just in medical knowledge in the medical sector. Involvement really is involved with the students. It's involved with their parents. It's involved with the businesses, the communities. It's everybody coming together with their skill set, their knowledge, their background to form an organization that no individual can form on their own. To form an organization that's bigger than any one person or one group of people. It's literally all of us sharing our time, our talent, and our treasures with one another. And in the end, our lives become happier lives.
You know, when this COVID-19 hit us, we had no idea that this whole world was going to be shut down. It was difficult to deal with, that we would have to shut down every mission all over this world. I had just come back from Morocco with an all-women's mission that was incredible. And to know that we can't go forward from this, it was very difficult. So we immediately had to think about, well, what are we going to do going forward? Because this will not stop us.
I've often thought, we have about 500 employees now around the world. I mean, just think about it. I mean, who would have ever thought 38 years ago that there would be 500 people that would be really working side by side to help children all over the world? But how do you communicate with those 500 people? If it wasn't for the technology that exists today, we could never do that. And this gave us really a chance to have a dress rehearsal of exactly how we're going to do that and what's it going to be like in the future to do what we do even better. And so this was the pause probably that we needed, and we took advantage of it.
It was interesting to think about our medical volunteers during this time because they didn't stop either. Some from the U.S. volunteered to go to different countries all over the world. They're putting themselves at risk, but they said that's not what we're here for. We're here to help the people and their health care. So people gave of themselves all over this world. They gowned up, they masked up, they sprayed their bodies, and off they went into the different hospitals all over this world, and from the U.S. to Africa or to Asia to help out while this was going on. Just like Vietnam just opened up their first mission. Believe me, that government was breathing down on them, but they followed every rule. One child, one parent, distance, hand spray, and having each and every child safe in those ORs while they were having that surgery. So we can go on. We have to think about what's happening, but there are risks, and they're not afraid of the risks that are out there.
And the 60 kids that were taken care of, I mean, they are the result of the genuine love that those volunteers were able to show by their actions, not just by their words.
I know I always say as a mom, do you think I want to wait another year to have my child taken care of? So that government also knows that build up, that wait list is getting bigger and bigger. They want to take care of those children, and those families want those children taken care of. So it's a push from all sides to make this possible.
It's good we're here to be here for them. Over all these years, we've learned so much. Right from the very first days that we started, we were in an environment, you and I know, that at times was different. And yet what we learned from those times, we could have never learned out of a book. We could have never learned it by listening to a story or even watching a movie or whatever. We learned it because we lived it. And I think that in this day and age, to be able to give individuals that experience that we experienced when they're young, whether they're school age or whether they're physicians or nurses or dentists or psychologists or pediatric intensivists, no matter what they are, anesthesiologists, to give them the opportunity to see the blessing that we were given to be all born who we are and where we are, and what we can do with that, and what we can learn from it, what we can teach our own children by being examples for them. It is priceless. And I don't know, you'd have to experience it to completely understand it, but it's been a gift that we've been given.
I think all these experience, even for our volunteers and our donors, it has kept us very nimble, because changes occur frequently and we have to adapt to those changes. So I think during this time we've had to make many adaptations, and I think it's worked. We've learned things, but we've changed things, and we are there with our people out there, no matter if they're in Africa or Asia or South America. It's been incredible, the input we've been given and the changes we've made because of where they are.
Yeah, and I don't think you want to get too goofy when you talk about it, but it's hard not to get a little bit goofy, is that I do believe that love by definition is self-sacrifice. And love is a decision to make somebody else's problem your problem. And that just can't be theoretic or abstract. What we've had the privilege to see is that by sharing our love with someone else, half the world away, with different race, different religion, different culture, we learn. And love is a decision to make somebody else's problem your problem. And by doing that, those individuals teach you something that you would have never been able to learn otherwise.
Hi, I'm Laura.
Hi, I'm Allie.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Behind the Smiles. We love that you're taking the time to learn more about the work we're doing to help children born with cleft around the world.
And if you'd like to donate or volunteer, make sure to check out the links in the description box below.
Don't forget to answer this week's question in the comments down below.
And subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss a video. We post every other Wednesday.